Imagine the most powerful women in the land of the Golden Crown, women who carry money, influence, and pride like a garment, bowing their heads in a room filled with silence so thick you could cut it with a knife. They didn't come to feast, they came to confess a sin that has haunted the palace walls for years. Let's quickly share a quick prayer. As the light of Queen Naomi is rising today, may every enemy that watched you struggle be the same people that will gather to celebrate your lifting. May those who stayed silent when you were being oppressed be the first to testify to your greatness. Amen. The air in the land of the Golden Crown just turned ice cold. Crown G's friends and families, something happened in the palace that nobody expected. The Golden Crown elders, women who are big in every sense of the word, finally broke their silence. We are talking about women who don't just walk, they command the ground to move. Women who wear lace worth 55 million naira and that is house clothes. These women are the pillars of society, the ones who usually correct others, not the ones who confess their sins. But today, they sat before the Golden King and Queen Naomi with their heads bowed. The gold on their necks didn't sparkle because the weight of their guilt was overshadowing everything. "We never protected you when we should have," one of them said. Can you imagine the shock? This wasn't a small apology, it was a total collapse of pride. You see, when Queen Naomi left the palace, these were the same women who were whispering in secret. They were the ones saying, "She's too full of herself," or "let her go, hunger will soon catch her and she will run back." They watched as the TikTok Olore and others dragged her name through the mud and they said nothing. They saw the isolation, they saw the fire burning her house, and instead of bringing water, they used the smoke to hide their own faces. Our people say when an elder falls, we look forward to what will be lost. But when a child falls, we look back to see who failed to hold that child. Today, these elders admitted that they are the ones who failed. They admitted that their silence gave legs to the lies that almost destroyed the jewel of the palace. They were big in money and exposure, but they were tiny in courage. The drama, the silent conspiracies, and the hidden wickedness have finally come to light. Queen Naomi's light is shining so bright that the enemies have no choice but to come to the brightness of her rising. But wait, the confession didn't end there. What they said next about why they stayed silent will leave you speechless.
The atmosphere in the palace shifted from heavy to suffocating as the elders dug deeper into their own betrayal. Crown G's friends and families, you need to feel the tension here. This wasn't just about a missed phone call or a small misunderstanding. This was about a calculated, cold-blooded silence that lasted for years. One of the most powerful women among the Golden Crown elders stood up, her voice trembling, not from aid, but from the sheer weight of the truth. She admitted that they saw the wahala coming long before the first door was slammed. They saw how Queen Naomi was being systematically isolated. They saw the traps being set in the palace corridors. They saw how the side attractions and palace politics were being used to squeeze the life out of her joy. "We told ourselves it would resolve itself," she confessed. "We told ourselves that someone else would speak so we wouldn't have to." This is the part that will make your blood boil. They admitted that they preferred to keep their seats at the royal table than to stand up for the truth. They watched as Queen Naomi walked with the palace like a ghost, ignored and mocked, while they sat comfortably in their 85 million naira lace. The suspense reached a peak when they spoke about the whispered approval. They confessed that every time someone lied about Queen Naomi, their silence acted as a stamp of authority. By not saying stop, they were saying continue. They watched as narratives grew legs and started running, lies that made the one think she was a problem. They were the mothers of the land, yet they allowed their own daughter to be thrown to the wolves just to maintain their big woman status. But something shifted. They looked at the Golden King and admitted that their silence didn't just hurt the queen, it misled the king himself. Because they didn't speak the truth to power, the Golden King was left to navigate a palace full of shadows. This confession was like a bomb going off. They weren't just apologizing, they were admitting that they were part of the conspiracy that almost burned the kingdom down. As they spoke, you could see the pain on Queen Naomi's face. Imagine hearing that those you looked up to for protection were the same ones who watched you drown and simply checked their watches. But her light was already rising. The more they talked, the more her resilience shone.
They expected her to break, but she became fire. And now the very fire they ignore is the light that is exposing their shame. The intensity in the land of the Golden Crown reached a boiling point as the elders turned their gaze toward the other players in this royal chess game. Crown Gist friends and families. This is where the story gets even deeper. The elders didn't just stop at their own silence. They began to talk about the bridges that were built when everything else was falling apart. They specifically acknowledged the role of Olorishado. In a palace where everyone was busy building walls, Olorishado became a bridge. The elders admitted that while they were busy forming big women and staying quiet, she was one of the few who dared to keep a door cracked open. They recognized that without her involvement, certain paths to reconciliation would have been blocked forever. It was a moment of raw honesty, admitting that a younger hand did the work their elder hands were too heavy to do. But the suspects didn't stop there. The elders turned fully to Queen Naomi and spoke about her in a way that shocked everyone present. They talked about her doggedness. They admitted that they expected her to collapse under the pressure. They thought the wahala would make her lose her mind or her dignity. But instead, they saw a woman who absorbed blows without becoming cruel. They saw a woman who walked through the fire and didn't even smell like smoke. Virtue like this does not appear overnight, one elder remarked, her voice filled with a new kind of respect. It is forged in the furnace. The page showed the Golden King fed every word. They weren't whispering in corners anymore. They were putting it on the royal record. They wanted it known that Queen Naomi did not survive by accident. She survived because of a strength they didn't realize she possessed. The room was silent as they acknowledged that the Golden King himself took a step of leadership by standing by her when the world expected him to step back. They admitted that correcting a wrong path, especially when pride is the god people worship, takes more strength than starting a war. But just as the atmosphere seemed to soften, the elders dropped another bombshell about the price of silence and the scars that may never truly heal. The climax of this royal meeting reached a level that left everyone in the palace of the land of the Golden Crown breathless. Crown Gist friends and families, this is the moment where the heart finally spoke. The elders, after admitting their silence and praising the strength of Queen Naomi, turned their focus to the future. They looked at the Golden King with eyes full of a heavy truth. They urged the Golden King to search his heart for a place where forgiveness could finally sit. They didn't demand it and they didn't rush him. They knew the wounds were deep. But they begged him not to lock the door permanently. Even if that place is still small, they whispered, let the light in. They realized that the peace of the kingdom depended on this very moment. They admitted once more with tears in their eyes, we failed to shield you. We failed to speak when speaking could have changed everything. Because of their failure, the wahala had escalated beyond control, but today they were laying that shame down. The entire land of the Golden Crown seemed to stand still. Everyone was shocked. The women who were once the leaders of the silent conspiracy were now the ones leading the plea for healing. It is exactly as the word says, your enemies shall come to your light. When things were bad, they were nowhere to be found. But now that the jewel is rising, they have no choice but to bow to the brightness of her lifting. Queen Naomi has proven that you don't need to fight a dirty war to win. You just need to stay in the light. Today, the drama that has kept us all on the edge of our seats has reached a turning point that nobody saw coming. The road to healing is long, but for the first time in years, the palace walls are no longer echoing with lies, but with the raw, naked truth. Before I go, Crown Gist friends and families, I must remind you, all the information shared here today is based on alleged romanticized information making the rounds of social media. These are currently unverified rumors and should be taken as such. We are all watching as the story unfolds in real time. I love you guys so much. Thank you for sticking with me through this intense journey. Don't forget to like, share, and stay tuned to Crown Gist for more updates as they drop.